I often think about time and how weirdly relative it feels. Try this on for size. The last woolly mammoths. They were walking the earth after humans had already built the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Yeah, it really messes with that standard picture of the deep ice age, doesn't it?
Completely.
So today we're going to dive into Mammuthus primigenius, the classic woolly mammoth. We want to look at its amazing adaptations and also the really complex reasons behind why it eventually went extinct.
Okay, let's unpack that, starting with just identifying them. It's kind of hard to believe now, but the whole idea of extinction wasn't really a thing people accepted until, the late 1700s?
Exactly. It actually took Georges Cuvier back in 1796 to look at the fossils and say, no, this is something totally different, something extinct, not just a weird elephant.
Which wasn't exactly popular thinking at the time.
Not at all. And, for all their fame, genetically, their closest living relative today is the Asian elephant, not the African one.
Huh. And we know so much about them because, because we found frozen ones, right?
Right. That's the key. We have these incredible frozen carcasses from Siberia, from North America. It makes the mammoth maybe one of the best understood prehistoric animals we have. We've got actual, tissue and hair.
Wow. And the physical record shows they were roughly the size of a modern African elephant.
Yeah.
But really built for the cold.
Totally optimized for it. They had, a super thick layer of fat, like whales almost.
Okay.
And then this double coat of fur, long guard hairs on the outside, and this dense, shorter undercoat. Critically, though, they minimized bits that would lose heat.
Like their ears.
Exactly. Their ears were tiny, maybe 38 centimeters, like the length of your forearm, just to stop heat loss and, frostbite. Same with their tails, quite short.
And those tusks.
Yeah.
Instantly recognizable, huge, spirally things. They could get massive, right? Over 4 meters long.
Oh, yeah, enormous. And the common idea is they used them like big shovels.
Shovels.
Yeah, to clear away snow and ice, get down to the grasses and sedges underneath on the Mammoth steppe. There's wear patterns on some tusks that suggest they scraped the ground.
Okay, that makes sense for foraging.
It does, but, why the crazy spiral curve then? And often asymmetrical. It raises questions, doesn't it? Surely that massive size, the visual display, maybe that played a role too. Social status, defense, not just digging for food.
Yeah, it feels like it wouldn't be just one thing. Which, speaking of complexity, brings us to their decline. That mammoth steppe environment they lived in, this huge grassy ecosystem, it started shrinking a lot.
Right. As the climate warmed up at the end of the last ice age, the Pleistocene, and this is where scientists really debate what was the final nail in the coffin.
Okay.
Was it that habitat loss? The steppe turning into wetter tundra or forest, which wasn't as good for them?
Yeah.
Or was it us, humans, becoming much better hunters?
The evidence points both ways, sort of.
It's really conflicted, and the story gets even more complicated because while the mammoths on the main continents died out around 10,000 years ago, that wasn't actually the end.
Right, the island populations.
Yeah.
They held on for much longer.
Yeah, two famous ones. St. Paul Island off Alaska, they lasted until about 5,600 years ago.
Still pretty recent.
And even more amazing, Wrangel Island, way up in the Arctic Ocean. They survived until only 4,000 years ago. That's deep into the Holocene, our current geological time, well after the pyramids.
Wow. Thinking about all those factors, climate, habitat, hunting, isolation, it really makes you appreciate the complexity, whether it's an ancient ecosystem or a modern project.
Absolutely.
Actually, this deep dive is sponsored by Embersilk. If you're trying to figure out complex systems in your business or life, maybe where AI agents could have the biggest impact, things like AI training, automation, integration, software development, you should check out embersilk.com. They help figure out those AI needs.
So moving from that last stand on Wrangel Island, the story potentially keeps going. Those island mammoths, they were stable for thousands of years, but because they were so isolated, they built up quite a few genetic defects from inbreeding.
And we know this from their DNA.
Exactly. That genetic record is incredibly valuable, and it leads straight into the modern stuff.
The de-extinction efforts. I remember hearing about this when they sequenced the genome back in 2015.
Right, so now there are serious projects using CRISPR gene editing technology. The idea isn't necessarily to clone a pure mammoth, but to edit the genome of their closest relative, the Asian elephant.
To give it mammoth traits.
Yeah, focusing on those key cold resistance genes we talked about, the thick fat, the woolly coat, the small ears, basically trying to create a cold adapted elephant hybrid.
And the goal there is what?
Yeah.
Just because we can? Or is there an ecological angle?
There's definitely a bigger ecological idea, often mentioned rewilding the Arctic. The thinking is that bringing back a large grazer like the mammoth or a hybrid might help restore some of that ancient grassland ecosystem, the mammoth steppe.
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
A huge undertaking. But it brings us back to Wrangel Island. Think about it.
Yeah.
They survived thousands of years in isolation, carrying all these genetic issues.
And seemed relatively stable as a population.
Only for something to suddenly wipe them out just 4,000 years ago. What was that final event?
We still don't know for sure. Maybe disease, maybe an extreme weather event, maybe the final arrival of humans. It's kind of a mystery. But it really shows you the incredible resilience life can have right up until that very final moment.
It really does. Well, thank you for walking us through the story, the Ice Age's biggest shaggy beast.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating subject.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, please do subscribe to the show. And hey, leave us a 5-star review if you can. It really does help get the word out. Thanks for tuning in.